Welcome to Small Business Saturday.
Welcome to Small Business Saturday's video series with your host and my husband.
And my dad, Aaron Montgomery.
Join the conversation.
Let's talk some business.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? It is a Saturday morning, and we are, as usual, Small Business Saturdays is happening here. So I want to try to bring some tips and advice that might help folks with their small businesses. And, keep trying new times here. It's 9 a.m. Central Time. And so my hope is that we're going to get some live folks checking in. Just trying to figure out what the best time is for everybody. And so if you're a small business, there is no such thing as a weekend off. My friend Terry Combs, who I host my podcast with, always says, as a small business owner, you have the right to work every hour of the day. So anyhow, I always felt like Saturday mornings was a great time to really kind of refresh, recharge, get some new, fresh perspectives and ideas. And so that's kind of where this came from. And so anyways, wanted to give folks a quick, as you can see, my new surroundings here. I'm actually out of my basement hole now. I'm upstairs in the room that we intended to be the office when we moved in here 5 years ago. And so you can see I've got new surroundings, working on some things. In fact, we're going to rearrange after this. So, and the reason I was able to finally get upstairs is we have a 2-story with a basement home, and we've got a new Wi-Fi router. Had some friends over last weekend, and one of the gentlemen, in fact, a couple of the gentlemen we had over are IT guys, way smarter than me guys. I love talking to them. They're great guys. And one of them recommended a new Wi-Fi router that should help, because I was lamenting about the fact that we never got good Wi-Fi and I couldn't do these streaming videos with the Wi-Fi that we had. I had to be hardwired, and I was going to try to do all this crazy stuff with different routers. And he told me my problem was I was trying to use consumer grade routers, and there was a $100 enterprise grade router out there that would cover the whole house without having to do a bunch of crazy stuff. So I had a few drinks that night, so I went on Amazon and I bought it. It's called a Ubiquiti Unify UAP AC long range enterprise router. In fact, I'll pop a link to it here in case anybody wants to check it out. Like I said, it's about $110. And a little bit challenging to set up, but took some doing. But boy, now that I've got it set up, our whole house is so much better. The Wi-Fi is awesome. We get, we stream Amazon Fire Stick in all the rooms. Like I said, I'm at the farthest point away from the router right now in the house here. So if you want to check that out, it's called the Ubiquiti Unify UAP AC long range. And like I said, $110. So just about the same price as some of the high-end Wi-Fi out there. And I didn't have to get several different connectors and all this other crazy stuff. I've got one router down in the basement, and it's perfect. And then as a wannabe tech geek kind of guy, it also has the opportunity for me to look at things on my phone. To do this, I turned off all the rest of it. So my 6-year-old is yelling at me right now for turning off his iPad and all sorts of fun stuff. But anyways, without further ado, I just wanted to share that. I thought that was pretty cool. So if anybody else is struggling with Wi-Fi in their house as a small business owner, having good Wi-Fi is an important piece, and there's a way to do it. All right. So what we really wanted to talk about today, what I wanted to talk about today is, and this is going to sound crazy, all you small business folks, don't start yelling at me here, but saying no is super important to every business, but especially small businesses that are, running lean and thin. And this is a super hard thing for me. Most of us are people pleasers. I'm definitely a people pleaser. And I always hate saying no. I always worry more about the opportunities that I lost than the opportunities that I screwed up, that I didn't take. But really, if you think about it, and you kind of take that feeling part out of it and you put some logic into it, there are certain times when you just have to say no. You have to tell people, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And we're going to talk about, actually, that is not the way to do it. But we have to turn down certain things. And because if we don't, that's going to affect the rest of our stuff, things that are going on. We're going to start missing deadlines. We're going to start providing less customer service. Also, if that gut feeling is there that this is a project that we shouldn't be involved in, your gut's probably right. It's going to cause you problems. It's probably going to cost you money. It's probably going to cost you a customer. Maybe it's for a friend. It may cost you a friend. So all of these things kind of come together. And then a lot of times when you say no to the project because of whatever the stipulations are, maybe that person will reframe it in a manner where it does work. So some of the most profitable jobs, this is a great lesson that my dad taught me back as we've, I think we probably covered on this, but my dad and I have been all over the place with different businesses and stuff like this. And he used to sell log homes. In fact, during the summers between college, I would help him out and I kind of did a lot of his sales and marketing stuff for him. And he said some of the most profitable houses that they built were houses, log home projects, where they originally said no. In fact, said no several times because, the person came to him and said, I need to do this. It needs to be done in 4 weeks and blah, 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 this, and this, and had all these demands. And my dad would say, no, I'm sorry. That's not something we can do. It doesn't fit into what we're capable of right now. We're 8 weeks out, we're 12 weeks out, whatever the case may be. That scope within this budget just isn't going to work. All these things, and basically just told them no in a nice way. And we'll talk about that here in just a second. And ultimately, they ended up coming back, going, okay, well, what if I increase my budget to this, and what if I gave you 18 weeks? This part still doesn't fit. Okay, well, let's do that. And then all of a sudden, the project was in my dad's favor and it worked out. So anyhow, I just want to kind of explain why it's good to say no and why it's good to basically, work within what works for you and your business. You're not trying to be the soup Nazi from Seinfeld and no soup for you, but we are trying to be profitable, and your customers should understand that you have to make a profit too. So let's talk a little bit about how to do it. And the best way to say no to a project is just to be flat out honest with them. And that can be a little bit tricky because you don't want to toot your own horn too much. I'm too busy. I'm so successful. I don't need you, kind of thing. You don't want to go into it with that attitude, but you do want to be honest with them and tell them why these things won't work. If we tried to do this in 4 weeks, we're going to give you a crappy house. Do you want a crappy house? I don't think that you do. You seem like somebody that likes quality. So let's make this work and fit this in to everybody's life. So one of the ways that, in fact, I'm going to post another link here in the comments section. One of the best ways to do this is a thing called I call the sandwich method. And I'm going to copy and paste this blog that I wrote back in 2015. And it's actually, let's see, did it get up there? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Actually came from back in my high school days. And so I graduated in high school back in the 90s, early 90s. So you do the math. But, back in that time, and I'm not sure, they may still have some of this going on, but the DARE program was really big. That was just after the 80s, the war on drugs and all that stuff. And so the DARE program was like a big part of what happened in high school life. Basically, it felt like at least once a month we had some DARE related program. Now, for me, I was a pretty straight-laced kid. I didn't start turning into a real screw up until after high school. So, no, I'm just kidding. But I was a pretty straight-laced kid. I wasn't interested in drugs. I wasn't interested in alcohol and all those other things at the time. I learned that about alcohol in college. But anyways, so these programs really didn't necessarily speak to me, but there was one program that just stood out to me for a long time. And it was when they started saying, well, here's how you say no to somebody that's offering you drugs. And I thought to myself, well, this could be a good way to say no to a lot of things, not just drugs, but, it was positive, negative, positive. So it was, hey, thanks for asking me to hang out. No, I don't do drugs, but I'd still like to be your friend. So there's your positive, negative, positive. Well, you can use that in a lot of other methods, but the important part is to start with the positive and give them the why and give them some, something to feel good about to start off with. So I'm going to read a clip that I have here to kind of get it right. Here's a good way to start something off. So we've been really blessed with an unexpected increase in our sales volume of 25% over the period of time from last year. And we've made really solid commitments to those customers to deliver their products in time, just like you would expect us to do for you. So the opportunity to work with you on this project is awesome. And we really appreciate that. But at this time, we just don't feel like we would be doing you justice in giving you the product and services that you deserve. So I want this to be a positive for both of us. So maybe I can suggest XYZ company up the road, and maybe they can help you with this project. And but we would certainly be honored to work with you on a project in the future. So I just basically told them that no, I can't do it, but I gave them other options. I've helped them still, try to help solve their problems. So I'm still trying to be helpful. But at the same time, I'm just indicating them that we're just not going to be able to get that project done in the timeline that they're indicating. Now, a couple of things can happen. They can obviously go up to the place where you recommended. Hopefully you've got a mutual referral relationship with that company, so it all works out. Or they can go, okay, I hear what you're saying. What if I could give you 2 more weeks to get the project done? Would we be able to do it then? And then you can go right back into it. Does this project make sense, or does it not? So those are some of the things that you want to try to do. But again, start with the positive, turn them down, give them some positive, give them some alternatives, still try to help them with their problem. Because if you've listened to anything that I've said on any of the talks that we've ever had, these sales processes, these buying decisions are all about solving a problem for somebody else. It's not about, this, that, or the other thing. It's about solving a problem. So if you're still trying to help them solve the problem, maybe you're not getting that sale, but in the long run, that will build up that kind of, hey, I know Aaron is going to take care of me, whether or not he can help me. And, and then hopefully when they do have a project I can help them with, they'll come back to me. So those are some things to do. The big important part through all of this, and this is really hard for me too, so it's kind of a reminder for myself, but we want to avoid negative words when we're talking about these things, or maybe when we're emailing them back or something like that. So words like unfortunately or sadly or can't, and any negative word that you can take out of there and reframe it, or just leave it out. I found that half the stuff that I write, when I write unfortunately, if I just take unfortunately out altogether, it still sounds just fine. It just doesn't because if you start with a negative word, it just sets them up to already feel disappointed. So avoid the negative words, be positive, sandwich it all together, and you're going to be a lot happier and have a lot more successful business going forward. All right. So there's our talk for today. Right after this, I'm going to start working on an email blast and some different things that I've been working on. I mentioned last week that I'm working on possibly a training class and some other stuff like that. So I want to make sure that you are signed up. Make sure that you are getting the information and that you want to get information from me. Like I said, I send out about a monthly email, sometimes a little slow, but I try to do monthly. So if you go to the bottom here, and where it says the link, aaronmontgomery.info/get-connected. That will allow you to sign up for my email list and make sure that you're on there and let's chat again next week.